Yeah, it's your boy Ray on the mic. Let's go.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Ray White on the mic with Ray White, and I'm excited to bring to you these series of episodes where we talk about this book, Advocacy in Action, 9 Practical Ways for Allies to Social Justice. I'm super hyped about it. It drops right now. You can cop this book today, by clicking the link in the bio or DM me the word AIA book, and I'll send you the link directly in your inbox too. But I'm super excited because this book, it provides the actionable, tangible steps for people who are asking the questions, what can I do when they see social injustice happening around them? 2020 was a major year for a lot of us being more aware to the social injustice that we're experiencing, especially from a race perspective. And by being in lockdown in the pandemic, there was more and more of that occurring within our social media feeds, and tragedy after tragedy related to the racial injustice and the racial uprising that we're experiencing. More and more identities who do not identify as Black have asked the question, what can I do when they see these things occurring? And what I hope to bring to the table is a book with 9 practical actions that you can get started with today and not have to feel completely overwhelmed or overburdened with trying to accomplish all the things necessary to become an advocate by practicing with these 9 steps right here within your circle of influence, through yourself, through the monocultural spaces that you're part of, and the multicultural spaces that you are associated with in building relationships to hopefully be that advocate for social change in your spaces. And these past few episodes, we have walked through the reasons why this book was created, how your advocate position plays a role in your ability to see and make changes, become an advocate in the space. What does it look like to take an action of uprooting biases, and then another action of leveraging your position when your monocultural spaces, when it comes to building relationships with your peers. And now we move to the third space of your intercultural, the multicultural spaces that we're a part of, and the actions that it will take for us to do that in this space. So by being an advocate of social change, by being a person who is hoping to create and usher in the social change within your space, within your leadership, within your involvement in the community, the intercultural spaces, the relationships that you have in multicultural spaces is pivotal, because we live in a society where we need to be connected, where we are connected and building bridges and building relationships with one another. Not one identity should dominate, or not one identity exists in one space or should dominate in any spaces. We need to create these environments where there is shared engagement, shared understanding, shared learning, shared levels of commitment when it comes to building bridges and building unity together. And if we are people who are stepping into these spaces with a level of humility, grace, understanding, desire to create that bridge, we'll be able to see this beautiful fruit of us coming together and being a culture where every identity belongs and thrives. So the intercultural circle, the third circle that is expressed in this book, AIA, is one that talks through how do we check in with individuals who are experiencing trauma and pain when the social injustice occurs around us. How do we listen well when we do experience something that we just don't understand, that is outside of our purview? How do we listen well to those voices who are closer to the action and closer to the pain, and hear them through empathy and love? And how do we get involved in a way that doesn't recreate the savior complex of us coming in and taking over the situation, but being co-conspirators or being elevators when it comes to supporting people in this space? And that's actually the tactic that I want to talk through in this particular episode, because all too often we as a society in American context especially want to jump right in to involvement and saying, hey, we're gonna do these particular actions. We got action steps, we got tactics, we got timelines, we got project plans, we got goals, we got dreams, we got all the things, right? But that's overwhelming. That's tiring. That's a lot. That's a lot to take on, especially if you are entering a space that's unknown to you. When we talked a little bit, or when we saw in 2020, folks who were stepping in and saying, what can they do when they're seeing the racial unrest occurring, especially for the Black community, there were a lot of folks who were non-Black who were just immediately want to come in and say, this is exactly what I'm planning on doing to help you. And that may not always be the case. Your way may not be the right way, right? Like, we have to step in to our communities with a sense of humility, with a sense of learning, with a posture of understand what is already existing in this space and what can we do to help support that, and not go in with the solution focused mentality and perspectives. And so when we talk about getting involved in our communities, it is truly reprising the pre-existing tactics or pre-existing actions that are related in this book. So I suggest you pick it up. But reprising the pre-existing actions in this book, such as our biases, such as knowing our position, such as knowing that we are not the saviors in these conversations or in these spaces. We have to understand those elements to then be able to then say, okay, if I'm involved, I'm asking the question, what's helpful for you? How can I help? What, or just sitting back and just listening and watching, observing and seeing what is the best course of action related to what the group needs at that particular time. And understanding that because you are part of one movement or one action or one community doesn't always mean that same action is going to translate to another movement and another action. Some people need different things at different times. Some people may need for you to utilize your voice to be the one to go out front, and some people just need you to serve the food, to help with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has a role to play when it comes to becoming an advocate in this space, and it doesn't always have to look one particular way. Everybody has a different hand to take action in, and we just got to know where we fit in to get in, right? But it's not just to put people in places just to keep them in their place. It's to keep the overarching goal of what the movement needs and how do we all move forward towards unity and grace and belonging, and knowing that we all have a small hand to play in that as well. So by getting involved, it can look like you asking the questions to the people in the particular space, what do you need? Then what can I do to help provide success? It could look like, truly calling your local government officials and letting them know and helping them become aware, right? It could be, reaching back into your intra-cultural spaces and encouraging them to be more involved and engaged, right? To get involved into this work. It could reach deeper back into the education and reading more books related to the areas that are not familiar to you, but deepening your awareness of how that lens can be incorporated into your ability to becoming an advocate. Your involvement is ongoing, and it's in parallel to everything that's happening as you read this book. It is not just a one-stop shop. The one time you engage in that service project or the one time you volunteer for that event, you have to find more and more ways to stay involved and stay engaged, because that will help sustain you in this culture of engagement and keep you on the cycle of that way of awareness, ally, and advocate in that space. So I would love for you to think about how you can see involvement occurring within your community. Who do you know that you can tap in and get connected with to help be an advocate or be just supportive of what's going on already, and just build relationships and be engaging in that way. So that is one of the tactics of the 3 within the intercultural space that you have influence to be an advocate in addition to the whole 9 that is related into this book, AIA. And as you read this book, as you engage with this, you will see not only just the lived experience and stories that I share that help develop these different tactics, but also how it builds upon one another. And it's not just a checklist of things you can do. And these are not the only things that you can do to become an advocate, but here are just the ways to get you started on the journey to become anti-racist, on the journey to become an advocate within your community. All right, so tap in with me, get this book, AIA, Advocacy in Action, 9 Practical Ways for Allies to Social Justice, by clicking the link in the bio or DMing me the word AIA book. And as you pick up the book, I would love for you to read it with a friend. Let me know what you're reading. Take a picture with it too, because I'm trying to be like, yo, we can make these awkward thumbnails of me pointing at the book, whatnot. I just want to take a picture to see who has the book, who's copying it, what you're reading, what you're engaging with it, how are you using it within your leadership, and would love to just celebrate you and support you in this journey of becoming an advocate within your space. So get the book and let's read together and continue to be culture change agents within our communities. Let's go.